everyone.
Hello.
We are again in the historic center of São Luís, and today we're going to walk around and show you other sides of São Luís that we could not talk to you about when we came to visit in the last video. Last video we were here on a Sunday. There was a fair. It was too many people, too many booths and tents, a lot of visual pollution, let's say. Today no, it's much more like relaxed, so we're gonna walk around. And where is the best place to start if it's not this street? This street is called Rua do Giz. This is one of the most famous streets in Brazil and one of the most filmed and pictured streets in Brazil.
So Rua do Giz, or Chalk Street, is considered one of the most beautiful streets in Brazil, and by the Vogue magazine was actually given the 6th place of like the most beautiful street in Brazil. My own opinion, it needs a lot of TLC to actually be considered like a beautiful street, but we can already like start seeing the Portuguese styles. São Luís is the most Portuguese city in Brazil. Why? Because we have a lot of houses, around 3,500 houses covered in tiles, in Portuguese tiles. And actually, like, why are they so important? The tiles, they are handmade, so they are made one by one, and they are used to cover the facade of the houses, actually to protect against humidity and against the weather and the bad weather, and then make the cost of maintenance of the properties cheaper. So that's why. And then São Luís is the city actually where we are gonna see the most amount of houses with tiles in the whole country of Brazil.
So in our previous video we did mention that this part of the historic São Luís is considered a UNESCO heritage site since 1997. As you can see, all of these tiles that are on the facade of these buildings have been preserved, and for example these two buildings that they have signs in front of them, they are being renovated. What's important and is worth mentioning is that you cannot just start some sort of renovation on your own. You have to always ask for permission if you even just want to paint inside of the building, or if you want to renovate the way the facade of the building is. Anything that you want to do and you want to touch, you have to ask for a special permission. It's a very good thing because it forces the owners and people who live here to preserve the architecture of this neighborhood. On the other hand, it also might put some pressure on people who cannot do this, which would end up having buildings like this one that are not completely renovated, and because it's also expensive, they have to respect the type of construction and the material that was used at that time in the 17th century. So it is expensive, and it might force some people just to abandon the buildings, and that's what you see here a lot. Either the buildings are in a wonderful shape, beautiful, or unfortunately they are abandoned. This street also, Rua Portugal, is one of the most famous. Rua Portugal is famous because it also has one of the most amount of tiles and the most preserved and original tiles. You can find them on this street, and it was one of the main streets that existed since 17th century. We did mention in our previous video also, but it's worth repeating, that this part of São Luís, all the original planning and all the original streets have been preserved. What you see here is exactly what they had planned for the street in the 17th century.
For the tiles, because the French, they founded the city and they were here for 3 years, but tiling also, it is, the French also used that for constructions. And here we have a very clear example. This is French tiling, or the tiles used by French, and this is tiles used by the Portuguese. How do you know the difference? Portuguese usually has like a pattern of 4 tiles to form like a design, when the French is just 1 tile and doesn't follow any pattern or any design, specific design. This is also another thing very interesting about this street, is that you can actually see the 2 influences of like French and Portuguese in the construction of the buildings in São Luís.
Another very important street or alley is this street, which is called Catarina Mina. This street is dedicated in the memory of the lady that in the 1800s would live here in São Luís, and her name was Catarina. And I believe there is a little statue over there at the end that we will pass by that resembles her. The story goes that Catarina was so beautiful that all the men in the city would give her money. However, unfortunately, at the time she was a slave. So she couldn't do anything with that money, but she just saved all of that money that she had collected throughout the years. Eventually, with that money that she had collected, she bought her freedom letter, or what at the time they would give to the slaves that would be considered free. And what she did with that money was also buying the freedom letter for the rest of her friends, or whoever she could buy the freedom letter for, to free them. After also, she was amongst the first very few black ladies that could actually own a business from the money that she had saved throughout her life. She could buy businesses and was among the first to own a business here in São Luís. So because of that history and the significance that she had, they have dedicated this street to her, and it's named after her.
And actually, as you can see, this street has a lot of businesses, like a lot of restaurants, coffee shops, and like that ice cream places. So it is all because of her. That's why they name also this street after her.
Another interesting thing that we learned yesterday when we went to the gastronomy museum was that some of the black people or African descendants that were brought here as slaves, when they were not slaves anymore and they were free, they could actually wear shoes, or if they had the financial means to buy shoes, they would wear shoes, and this would show actually that they are no longer slaves, and they were allowed actually to wear shoes. The others who were still slaves, unfortunately, and they were not free, they were not allowed to wear shoes. This is another historic fact and interesting thing to know. Another thing worth mentioning is the roof and the siding of all the buildings that at the time had a lot of indication, especially in terms of the financial level of the people who were living in the buildings. The people who were not rich, or they were not at the top level of the society, they would have buildings that would not have the edge on top. It would be straight because it was extra cost of construction. But the people who had money, they could stretch their roof a bit more, and the highest level was 3 levels. Like for example, this one on the in front of me, you can see it has like different layers, 2 or 3 layers. So when it would rain, even if there's a little Juliet balcony there, the water would not come there. The water would fall away from the house. And here too, you can see it even better. It has 2 or 3 layers. So if it would rain, the rain would go way away from the house. So this would basically determine the financial capacity of the people who were living in this house. And if a boy would go to a girl's father asking for her hand, the first thing the father would ask for was for the boy's address, because the father would go and check the house where he would live, and then he would look at the edge of the roof. If there was nothing there, it meant that the boy is not from a very rich family. But if it had 2 or 3 layers on the roof or on the edge of the roof, like this one at the end that you can see, it meant that the boy was from a family that was financially decent.
Behind me, so this is the biggest house in the whole city that is still covered in tile. So, and you see it's like 3 floors, and it goes like both ways on the corner of the street, from one side to another side, and it is considered still like the biggest house in the city. It's still covered in tile. Watched our previous videos, you're gonna see that there is a trend of like churches being built by the community or by people that were not allowed to go to other churches in the city. And this is the case for this church behind me. It was built by the community, by slaves, because they were not allowed to go to other churches. And this is the case also for a church in Teresina, and you're gonna see that in other videos too. So the community comes together and then they build a church so they can actually go to the church and have their own priest.
This building is one of the first cinemas in Brazil. We are actually walking in one of the first streets of Brazil from 1600. The street is called Rio Grande, or Big River.
one more beautiful street, Rua do Sol, which means the street of the sun. This is actually the Faculty of Law from the Federal University of Maranhão. And another beautiful building here is this one, which is the theater.
Unfortunately today it's Monday and the theater is closed, but there is a free guided visit that you can go and then to be able to see the rooms inside. But the theater is for around like 700 people, and they have like concerts, like classical music concerts. They have a lot of presentation and shows. Unfortunately, we cannot see it today. We're gonna actually put some pictures so you can actually see how it looks inside, and actually very beautiful. So one thing to have in mind when you come to São Luís, there is a lot of stairs to go up and down, and there is also a lot of hills that you have to walk to go up or go down. The city definitely, actually the historical center is not flat, so you have to be going up and down all the time. Another thing to pay attention is that it is hot and humid, and you have to be hydrating yourself all the time. So that's another thing too, just to have in mind before coming here.
Another thing we didn't mention is that São Luís is sometimes actually called Ilha d'Amor, which means the island of love. We mentioned in our previous video that São Luís is actually an island. So sometimes it's also referred to as the island of love or Ilha d'Amor. And a tour of historic São Luís is not complete without visiting this place, which is called Mercado das Tulhas. Basically, this is a market where you can buy all the handcraft. You can try and buy the traditional sweets that they have here that are specific to this city and this region, cachaça, all other types. It looks like it's a bit closed. No, these are just the coffee shops. So we're just gonna walk real quick and show you.
It's called Buriti sweet. It's this fruit that they do jam, sweets, everything, juice from the fruit. And because it's a palm tree, they also make all the handcrafts. So this
from the leaves.
From the leaves
Wow.
of the palm tree, they make all the handcrafts that you see here. And this is the jam. Oh, it's very good.
Yeah?
Oh, it's very good. It's sweet. It reminds me of a mix of banana, but sour, a little bit sour and sweet.
Eu posso provar também.
Tem balinha dela? Não?
Okay, now I'm curious. I have to try it too. Obrigado.
It's really good.
Wow.
Like, I didn't expect
No,
this good.
very, very tasty, delicious.
So we bought the jam the Buriti jam. It's so cute. Then we bought typical cachaça from Brazil. Then we bought cachaça from cassava, which is actually, I learned yesterday that it's wrong to say cachaça. It has to be agua ardente, which is like a burning water from cassava. And banana candies. This I'm gonna try. When I was a kid, we used to eat this a lot, and I used to love it. I don't know if it's gonna have the same taste, but later I'm gonna try it and then I'll let you know.
And then at the end of the market, there is also this little cute courtyard that you can come and have a drink. I think they might even have food, so it's very cute if you want to just grab a bite or drink something. Alright, this will finalize this video. We really hope you enjoyed it. We really think we tried to cover historic São Luís, but there is so much to see.
Yes.
But we don't want the video to be too long. We hope you enjoyed it, and thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next one.
Bye.